welcome to You Make the Difference. I'm Wanda Scarborough, and I have as my guest today Hanania Pinto. And Hanania is with the Explorations in Antiquity Center here in LaGrange. And I'm told that this center attracts tourists from all over and is one of the biggest draws to Troup County for tourists. And so I know you're going to enjoy talking to Hanania, and he came from Israel.
That's right.
Yes, with biblical resources over in Israel, and then after that the center was located in LaGrange. Can you tell us a little bit about how that happened?
Sure. Thanks for having me on the program.
Oh, you're welcome.
The Antiquity Center, or the Explorations in Antiquity Center here in LaGrange, existed for 35 years in Jerusalem, Israel.
Yes.
So I worked with them there for 20 years.
Oh, wow.
And then after 20 years, in 2005, when we decided to relocate and to come to build our center here in the U.S., we came to LaGrange, and they invited me to come and help to put this together here. So I have been working here for the last 6 years and been great.
Yes, that's wonderful. And you weren't the only one who came, were you?
No. We had a bunch of people that liked so much what we did in Israel that when we knew that we're going to close there and relocate, these people said, well, I go with you if I can. So we had 2 other people that came from Israel to live in LaGrange to help put this together. And we're all still working together.
That's wonderful. And how was LaGrange selected?
Well, the short end of that story is a friend from Texas introduced us to the Callaway Foundation.
Yes.
And when we presented to the Callaway Foundation what our ideas was and what we wanted to build, the answer was, well, if you build in LaGrange, our headquarters, will be easier for us to give you grants.
Yes.
And we said, well, let me think about, okay. And that's how we came to LaGrange.
Yes. Now, for those who don't know, will you tell us what the Explorations in Antiquity Center does? And
absolutely.
Yes.
The Explorations in Antiquity Center idea is to have a biblical garden, a biblical museum that has replicas of real things that we have them in Israel, that we can build them here on a nice setting on a public garden, on a garden. So we can tell the groups that come, or the visitors who come to visit, biblical stories.
Yes.
While seeing a full-size replica of the item.
And it's very effective.
It is very nice.
Yes.
So for example, we have goat hair tents and little chairs there, and we can sit under this goat hair tent. And what a better place than to remember the patriarchs and the matriarchs.
That's right.
Living in the desert. They were tent dwellers. They were shepherds. So we talk about shepherds and sheep and how you make your tent and how you move from place to place, and how the Lord used that setting to present some stories in the Bible. So I don't know if you ever paid attention, but the Bible says that Sarah came to listen to the conversation between the angels and Abraham.
Yes.
Behind the curtain. Well, where's a curtain in a tent? If you come to the Antiquity Center, I can show you.
Yes.
So that's what we have. So we have goat hair tent. We have a cemetery place that has the rolling stone tomb. We have a watchtower that shows how people would protect their grapes. We have several olive trees that are almost 300 years old.
Wow.
Growing there. So yes, it's an exciting place to be.
And those olive trees, where did you get those?
We got them from California.
Oh, okay.
So
I thought maybe from Israel.
No. We tried, of course. Israel was our first choice.
Yes.
And we tried to bring from Israel, but then we realized that Israel does not allow a certain size of trees to be exported.
Okay.
You can buy little ones, but not big ones. And we want a big one.
Yes.
And then we tried, our second best was Greece. So we went to Greece and tried to buy olive trees there and bring them here. And there's no requirement for the olive trees to be exported, but the U.S. does not accept them.
Oh.
So there's a agriculture something or another that we could not get permission to import those trees. So California came in and saved the day.
Yes.
And they had those old trees there, so we got them, and they're doing well in our garden, so that's great.
Yes, it is. Now, y'all also have plays sometimes at the Antiquity Center?
Well, that's the biggest thing that we're just now finishing. You see, my hands are still tired of working hard with the concrete, and that we're building a Roman theater that should sit 400 people.
Wow.
And looks like a Roman theater, no, the stepped theater that you go up. So we have been doing that, and in there we're going to have plays. And by the way, one of the things that we're able to put in our theater is the 4 columns that used to be in front of the post office.
Yes.
Downtown post office in LaGrange.
That's right.
So now they are happily decorating the theater
Yes.
in LaGrange, in the Antiquity Center.
That is great.
So yeah, you need to come and see our columns. They're really looking great there.
Yes, and I have seen them, and they look like they fit right in. So,
Oh, yes.
And I know the people who were upset about the post office being demolished in LaGrange will be really glad to know that the columns have been.
That's right. If you're one of those people that were upset with the demolishing of the historical building,
Yes.
you should come and see what we have done with it.
That's
It's
right.
a little bit way to still have the columns up somewhere, and not just lose completely the whole thing. And we're very happy to share that information about the post office while you are in LaGrange.
Yes.
So it is working well.
And then y'all have Passover suppers.
Correct. We have 2 rooms in the museum displays that you have tables that looks like the tables in the time of Jesus.
Yes.
And we also did a long research on which kind of foods were available at the time of Jesus.
Yes.
That we still have today. So we put those information together, and then we can tell the story of Jesus eating the Last Supper and compare that with the Jewish people celebrating Passover, and then have a full meal while you're having a nice Sunday school lesson.
Yes.
And it works very well. So for example, we serve olives, we serve the lentil soup because
Yes.
Esau and Jacob solving their problem over lentil soup bowl. We serve chicken and the bitter herbs, the unleavened bread, the fruit of the vine is there. So yes, we serve that almost every day, either for lunch or for dinner time. But you do need to make a reservation for that.
Yes, and you can also get a tour at the same time.
Correct.
And if you have the tour and the Passover meal, it's $30. Is that right?
That's correct.
And if
you get the package is the meal, either dinner or lunch, that lasts for about an hour and a half. And then you get another hour and a half visiting the replicas in the museum. So it's about a 3.5 hours program that you get for $30, and is perfect for Sunday schools,
Yes.
for birthday parties, for celebrations. Now, what a better place to go and celebrate your anniversary
I know,
than
really.
bringing your friends for a biblical meal.
That's right. Or you could just take the tour for 10, right?
Correct.
And the meal for 20.
Correct. If
Is-
you don't have time to eat the meal with us,
Yes.
then the other opportunity is just to come and see the museum for an hour and a half, and then go eat somewhere else.
Yes, and our family gets together for the Passover meal, and we like to do that every year at the Antiquity Center.
Well, one of the things that we have there that is nice is we have very qualified teachers
Yes.
that gives the explanations.
Yes.
So if you come and you get a different teacher, it's almost having a whole new experience. Now the core of the message is the same, but one person gives a little bit of perspective from the Jewish side, another person gives more perspective from his or her side. So yes, it becomes very personal and is almost a total experience.
And for Resurrection Sunday, you do a reenactment?
Absolutely, yes. Every Easter morning, we have a sunrise service.
Yes.
And there's no need for reservations, but it's on first come, first served basis. So you make sure that you're there early enough so you have a seat. Last year, we're almost packed. It was really
Wow.
amazing.
Yes.
And then we have very beautiful singings, and there's a theater group that performs a little bit about the crucifixion and the resurrection. And it's so nice to see people, all dressed up on a cold morning
Yes.
before the sunrise, just to remember that Jesus resurrected from the dead. That's really a good time to be there.
And then at Christmas time, y'all also have walks, the Shepherd's Walk.
Correct. Yeah, so we're just getting ready for that. The whole month of December, we have what we call Follow the Star, or the
Okay.
Shepherd's Walk. And that is evening tours. So after it gets dark, and then we have lights, and we have bonfires, and we have live animals.
Oh, wow.
And people dressed in costumes, and then you come and we show you the same replicas, but on a Christmas approach.
Yes.
Right? There is a throne there at the gate, and we go there and we pretend that King Herod is there in that throne. So
Yes.
we meet King Herod the Great, and then we go looking for the baby Jesus. And on the way, we find the other thing that we have in the center. In the end, there's a big star over the cave, and there's where we end in. When we find baby Jesus in the manger.
Yes.
We're all happy and we sing Christmas carols, and then we go and drink hot chocolate.
Oh, that's great. And sometimes it's really cold.
It
and
is very
the
cold,
hot chocolate is
yes,
really good.
sometimes.
Yes, and there's another aspect of the Explorations in Antiquity Center where you offer tours
Exactly.
and also teachings, right?
Exactly. Yes. Because we lived in Israel for so long,
Yes.
together, Dr. Fleming and myself, we have over 60 years of experience living
Wow.
there. I lived in Jerusalem for 26 years. So we love the country. It's our home. So I love to take groups over there.
Yes.
And when I take a group to the Holy Land, our trips are a little bit different because we know the Holy Land from the other side, right? We live there. So I can
Yes.
take you to my favorite restaurant. I can take you to my favorite place in
Yes.
Jerusalem. Because I lived there so long, I have many stories that I can share that, through the years, that makes the trip a little bit more special. I have 2 children that served in the military.
Wow.
So what a better thing to do than to meet somewhere, maybe in the lobby of the hotel or in a restaurant, and have my sons sharing with the group their
Oh,
experience
yeah.
of being in the Army. And what you did in the Army and what did you like, was too hard. But again, because we lived there so long, it's very easy for us to have the group feel like they're part of what was happening 2,000 years ago. Right? We have maps, we have diagrams, we have lectures, and then we go to see the site.
Yes.
So it's really exciting because you get a feeling that you understand what you're seeing. And if sometimes you go on trips that is so fast,
Yes,
and
it
you're
is.
pushed from one end to the other, and we don't really have, and if you don't really have a sequence, it becomes confusing,
Yes, it does.
right? So we try to follow the Bible more or less chronological on our trips. We start with the Old Testament, and we go to the desert, and we visit Beersheba, and we visit the Dead Sea, and spend time in the wilderness, and then you go to Galilee, follow Jesus' ministry, and go all around the Galilee area. And then for the last week of Jesus, we come to Jerusalem.
Yes.
And then we have the trials and the crucifixion and the resurrection while visiting the monuments around Jerusalem. So it's really nice.
Yes, I know it is.
It's really nice.
Yes. And then, but y'all do teachings at the center too, right?
Yes, November we have one conference
Uh-huh.
at the center. That will be a 3 days long conference that Dr. Fleming will be the speaker. So if you have a chance to participate with us, it will be 14, 15, and 16. There's a cost for it because we're going to be offering tours and food. There's a dinner. The Passover meal will be part of that conference. But it's very interesting. And Dr. Fleming will be speaking about the different sea stories. The stories of the Red Sea, stories of the Sea of Galilee, stories of the Red Sea and the Mediterranean, and what's happening there. So just walking on the water and all those stories will be part of that. And we like to joke with Dr. Fleming that he cannot speak without slides.
Yes.
So he has lots of pictures to show. So it'll be like a trip to the Holy Land while you are in the classroom.
Yes, and he's
So-
an excellent teacher,
Well,
right?
I can't say that he's not. He's my boss.
That's right, but he is.
He is.
And also, I've heard he helped train the tour guides of Israel. Is that?
Well, in the 35 years that he lived in Israel,
Uh-huh.
he had many jobs there. But one of the jobs was to be the teacher for the Christianity part of the tour guides of Israel.
Wow.
So every tour guide in Israel had at some time some classes with Dr. Fleming. And you can just imagine, right, being a tour guide and being an Israeli person. And so you probably are Jewish
Yes.
or non-religious, perhaps, and you need to guide those groups that comes from everywhere and want to know more about Jesus.
Yes.
So you do need to learn about Jesus so you can teach. So Dr. Fleming's job was to teach the guides, to get them in good shape, to be able to speak to pastors and church people that knows more than the guides know.
That's
Or they
right.
should know at least.
Yeah.
No, but the guides do a great job.
And that's an excellent way to present the gospel, really.
Oh,
To
now you're talking.
to the Jewish people.
Look, in Israel, for you, one of the requirements for the person to become a guide, you needed to know 2 languages besides Hebrew.
Wow.
Okay, so it's okay to assume that every tour guide in Israel speaks at least 3 languages. I speak 4,
Wow.
so you speak at least 3 languages. Now, if I teach you the Gospels stories,
Yes.
look at the impact that you would have on your tour groups.
Yes.
Because you'll be speaking to 4 or 5 different countries or different language groups
Yes.
that are sharing the message that you have from us. So that was really an excellent way to spread the good news.
It really
right? You give to
is.
one person and that person broadcast
That's
to all the
right.
people that they have. So even though I don't speak Japanese or Chinese or Korean or Arabic, but my friend does.
Yes.
So he is giving the message that he received from us and from God to all these people.
That's right.
So that was really a blessing to be able to do it.
So, like pastors and Christian people may be coming to Israel and they're able to give that message, but also they might be given a tour to people who are of the Muslim faith, right?
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Israel is open to anybody who wants to visit.
That's right.
So yes, you get just look at the difficulties. All the different denominations that you have of Christians.
Yes.
Right? And some for this is very important. For others this is not important at all. For some they love to burn incense and to pray in front of an icon. For others that is not acceptable. So the poor tour guide needs to know all these nuances to be able to please the group, and not make the group upset by
Yes.
taking them to the wrong church.
Yes.
So that's one. And then on that we have Muslim people that came to visit, because Israel is a holy place for the Muslims
Right.
as well. There's Jewish people that come from all over, including New York, to visit the country because it's holy to them as well.
Yes.
So yes, you have all these minorities that wants to see the country, and you need to be prepared for it.
That's wonderful.
So it's great.
Yeah, that's a creative way that God is releasing the gospel message to the different kinds of people, isn't it?
Well, yes. No, and sometimes you just need to understand parts of the Bible that speaks that way.
Yes.
For example, one of the promises that we have is that when the Bible says, from Jerusalem would come the word of the Lord.
Yes.
Ki mitzion tetzeh Torah.
Yeah.
Udavar Adonai miYerushalayim. And the word of God from Jerusalem. So maybe that's one way that's coming out.
That's right.
Right? It's
That's-
a great place to go to be a Bible translator or to learn about the other minorities.
Yes.
So it is incredible.
It is. And I just got back from Israel.
Yes. Did you have a good time?
I had a great time.
Fantastic.
Yes. And, one of the things that I got to do was participate in a parade. We went to a conference. My daughter and I went, Sarah, and we attended the Feast of Tabernacles.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so, that whole week, the Jewish people were celebrating Sukkot,
Yes.
which is like the booths or tabernacling
the
with the
festival of the
Lord.
booth, yes.
Yes, and it's an appointed time. It's given in Scripture that God meets with His people.
Yes.
And so they were building hut-like buildings, even out on the streets in front of the businesses and at their homes. And they would go into those huts and eat their meals
That's
there,
right.
and sometimes even spend the night.
Yes.
And the top of the huts have to have like openings,
Branches, yes.
branches, so that you can see through them and see
That's
the
right.
stars.
It's a
and-
Fantastic
Yeah.
holiday. It's
Yeah.
a week-long holiday.
It is.
So when you build your booth, you can you really enjoy it.
Yes.
Because you have time to go there, and it's like camping out. It's like having a different room in your house because you carry your meals to eat there.
Yes, and you
And-
decorate them.
Oh yeah, there's competitions.
Oh, really?
There is neighborhood competitions of the best decorated booth.
Yeah.
I grew there. My children grew up there, so I remember building those booths for my children, and so we could be there. And one time I was traveling to the U.S. and I found Christmas lights
Yes.
in Texas on the shape of cowboy boots and jalapeno
Oh, wow.
peppers. So of course I bought them to decorate my sukkah
Yes.
with that, and they never told anybody they are Christmas
Yeah.
lights because they're supposed to be the booth lights.
Yes.
So, but we decorate our thing with that, and we didn't win any prize, but the kids were really excited that
Oh,
we had
yeah.
those very unique lights on our sukkah.
Yeah, and we met some friends there, and they put up a sukkah at the hotel.
Yes.
And so we got to sit in one of the sukkahs and enjoy that and got our picture taken doing that. But at the Feast of Tabernacles, it was put on by the Christian Embassy
Right.
there. And so it's where Christians from the different nations come in to celebrate the Feast of Tabernacles. And they have conferences during the day and events during the night. So it was very nice. And this year there were about 80 nations that were represented.
Wow.
And
That's
they
amazing.
want to show their support to Israel
Yes.
and let the Jewish people know that the Christian people in these nations love them. And so the last day of the conference, there is a parade.
Mm.
And there were like 4,500 people
Wow.
who were at this conference. And so, the different nations dressed in their native dress and costume. And we marched down the streets of Jerusalem.
That's incredible.
And it was advertised. I think that it was even filmed for the news because we saw a helicopter circling, and that's what we thought they were doing. And
Probably.
yeah, probably so. And so
Probably.
the street was just lined with Israeli people, and we were going down the street, and nation after nation saying, we support you and we love you, and
That is so important.
it is.
Israel is a fantastic country when you consider everything.
Yes.
It was only 1948 that it became a nation.
Yeah.
And in 1948 was just after the Holocaust when 6 million Jews people died.
Wow.
So now to be able that in 60 some years
Yes,
to rebuild a country like we have, like
Yes.
Israel is incredible.
it is.
So there's no question that the hand of the Lord is blessing Israel.
That's right.
In that. But we do need the support of the Christians because sometimes we feel pretty lonely.
Yes.
No, Israel is the only country in the Middle East that's not Muslim.
That's right.
All right, so we have all that influence from those neighbors that don't want us there.
Yes.
Europe have been very much on the fence.
Uh-huh.
They're very afraid to say one support or not.
Yes.
So we don't really hear that from our friends in Europe in many times. I mean, some of them are a little more verbal than others. So it's great to go, even if the country is not represented, but have a group of Christians from
Yes.
that country
Yes.
saying we believe in the Bible, therefore we support Israel, and that is really great.
Yeah,
So
and-
I think that does a good job to be there in Israel. So thank you for coming.
Oh, thank you. We loved it. I mean, and it was like when we were going down the streets, some of my friends were there that we had met in Israel while we were there, and they said, when the USA came, it was just like a highlight.
Wow.
And
Yes.
some people were chanting USA, USA, and they were saying from the street, "Thank you for coming," and they were saying, "We love you."
Well, you see, Israel is amazing. Though the Jewish people have been persecuted for so many centuries
Yes.
by quote unquote Christians,
Uh-huh.
but when we have the real Christians coming in,
Right.
supporting and showing a different perspective, the modern Israelis are acceptable.
Yes.
Are accepting of that.
They
And they're
are.
happy to see that, well, you must be a different kind of Christian, not
That's
like
right.
those one that my grandparents had.
Yeah,
And that is wonderful. And that's what we needed to change that perspective.
we do. And one of the people in our group that was from the United States,
Uh-huh.
said, we're representing Christ, and be sure you leave a good aroma as you go through the city. And so, it was really the highlight of my trip.
It's wonderful.
I mean, it was just wonderful. And, I began to go out into the crowd and really just take the hands of the people and tell them that we loved them and cared for them. And you could see in their eyes
Well, you see, if they already took the time to go to the streets to welcome the parade,
Yes, they're open.
they're needed.
Yes.
The need is there. So for you to
Yes.
come out of your way to shake somebody's hand, that's big.
Yeah.
That is big. No, that person will not going to forget that for a long time.
Yes. Well, I won't either.
And exactly.
I mean, and there was a lady who ran out to me, and she grabbed my hands, and she put a gift in my hand, like it was a big ice cream sandwich. You know, it's
Oh,
hot.
perfect.
It was hot that day, so it was a welcome gift. But she put that gift in my hand, and she said, "Thank you for coming." And so we just embraced right there in the street.
That's so
And
nice.
then there was another lady that brought us cookies out into the parade, you know, and so
That
we
is
took
so
the
nice.
cookies. And there was an older man that called me over to the side, and I went over there, and he kissed me on both sides of the cheek, and he said, "Thank you for coming."
That's
I mean,
incredible.
it
Yes.
was incredible. And
So yes, definitely those things that you can do. Perhaps it's small for you. It's just a minute to hold their hand, or
Yeah.
just a very fast gesture, but probably remain a lifetime, and probably is a changing of life, because many of those people never met a Christian.
yeah,
Right? If you live in Israel, and if you're a Jewish person, and you are with your family and friends, you never meet a Christian.
Wow.
Because you don't come to the street, to give a hand to a tourist.
Yeah.
Or being Jewish, you don't feel welcome to go to a church. So you
Yes.
don't do that. So when you have this opportunity, it's really great. So
That is-
yes, amazing.
It is great, and we just thoroughly drank it in. We had met a couple while we were in Israel, and they one of the wife took pictures.
Yes.
And so we weren't expecting them to be at the parade, but then we heard our names called, and we saw them, and when we saw them, we were glad to see them. They said, "We've been waiting all afternoon to see y'all," and so we were glad to see them, but it was kind of after we had been through the crowd and that momentum of being with the people. And so when they took our pictures, when we got those back, our smiles were so big, it was almost embarrassing, but it was just, I just felt like I was made to do that, made to,
It's an appointed time.
yeah.
That's one of the promise that we have for the Feast of Tabernacles.
Yeah.
Is on that day, every person will come to worship the Lord in the Lord's mountain.
Yes.
And that's Jerusalem.
Yes.
So to come to Jerusalem is incredible.
It is. And the wonderful thing about that is we went out into the streets to honor the people, and the people of Israel honored us.
Came back and
Yes,
paid the favor. That's
yes.
great. That's wonderful.
And I would love to tell you more stories, but it's time for
time
us
to go.
end. Yes. And I just want to thank everybody for watching You Make the Difference, and to remember that Christ in us is what truly makes the difference. And when you share Christ, you are making a difference here on earth that you may not even realize. Thank you.